Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
That facility is a federal quarantine facility, and you've been cautioned now not to enter the premises of that federal quarantine facility.
We back the blue, but this kind of intimidation, going to my personal residence to give me this bogus trespass ticket, it's making it increasingly hard for us to do, sir.
Where did you fly in from?
Oh, we got another one!
You came from Mexico?
Hola, mi amigo!
Well, nice talking to you. Here's my friend. She wants to talk to you.
Okay, give me information. We're coming up.
Hello? No negative test before you return. So why are you quarantining?
Officers! We live in Canada! We live in a free country! I have just spoken to two people who have proven that they do not have COVID! Why is it possible that they are being held against their will?
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, I'm back at the infamous Radisson Airport Hotel on Dixon Road. We have some protesters congregating, and compared to our visit here last Thursday, there are a few subtle differences. For one thing, there is now a rope here, and here on this pylon, here's something new: private property, no trespassing. Well, as the saying goes, now you tell me, because folks, as you may know from a previous video, the Toronto police came to my house yesterday. I don't even live in Toronto, and two police officers paid a second visit to my humble little home in Richmond Hill to serve me with a trespassing ticket. And as I pointed out in the video, this to me looks like a hotel open to the public. You know, our first visit here in January, we were told by somebody at the hotel called Jamie.
It's closed for construction.
Closed for construction? I see people in the windows.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. That's what it is.
Clearly, it is not closed to the public, but the question arises, why would you trespass me for committing, I don't know, the egregious act of practicing journalism? But that's how they roll in John Tory's Toronto. So at least now they've done a little MacGyver here of bolting a private property no trespassing sign, but it sure wasn't there last week, and we have the video footage to prove it. So I would imagine that in any moment there'll be police. In fact, I think those might be the police that showed up to my house yesterday. They were driving a black Dodge Caravan, which I guess I should be grateful. One of the vehicles that came last week was a Ford F-250 Super Duty pickup truck. Why would the police need that? Or maybe they tow around the mounted unit. You'd need a truck like that. Here we have Paladin Security, or as I like to call them, Mayor Patrick Brown's Praetorian Guard. These guys are usually in Brampton guarding the hockey rinks where Mayor Brown and his buddies from Barrie illegally play hockey. So yeah, once again, folks, your tax dollars hard at work. Well, what a difference a week makes when it comes to the Radisson Hotel near the Toronto Airport. For starters, there is new signage warning away the riffraff that this hotel is no longer open to the public, unless you are a member of the public being held there against your will, that is. Oh, and finally, some confirmation from police that this is indeed a federal quarantine facility. We're still waiting to have our queries answered by the Public Health Agency of Canada regarding this hotel, but apparently the PHAC has enlisted members of the Toronto Police Service to do their public relations work for them when they're not writing trespassing tickets to journalists, that is. My only regret upon revisiting the Radisson was not bumping into Jamie. I really wanted to ask him how the construction was coming along. Unbelievable. In any event, here's what you had to say about this government-run quarantine facility in Toronto. GDCom writes, Quote, fear is a government's greatest weapon. With it, they can convince a people that they need to abandon their freedom. In exchange, they get safety. Of course, you just trade one monster for another, but by the time the people realize this, it is too late. End quote. Victor Methos. Doesn't that quote absolutely nail it, folks? Best-selling author Victor Methos, by the way, immigrated to the United States from Kabul, Afghanistan at the age of 9. I imagine living in Afghanistan gave Mr. Methos a crash course on what it is like to be under the thumb of tyranny. Christine Green writes, if they tested negative twice, why are they still in this hotel? You know, great question, Christine. Unfortunately, nobody in Ottawa will give us an answer. Wes Sprout writes, Radisson Hospitality is majority owned by Jinjiang International's holding company, which is ultimately owned by an entity of the government of the People's Republic of China. You are correct, Wes, and talk about perverse irony, eh, folks? It was China that unleashed this virus upon the world a year ago, causing untold trillions of economic damage. And now it is China making out like bandits by taking federal government money, aka tax dollars, to incarcerate Canadians returning to Canada. And somebody once said, crime does not pay. Frog Fur Fighting Against Trudeau writes, Rebel News fighting for patriotic Canadians. Well, thank you, Frog Fur. You know, I don't know if we're fighting for patriotic Canadians or simply just covering the news. But when it comes to Canada's quarantine hotels, it looks like the mainstream media is sitting this one out. Gee, I wonder why. Kurt Barlow writes, I know someone who works at a maximum security prison. Inmates get 1 hour recreation time as per law. Are these Canadian citizen inmates getting their 1 hour rec time as well? Nope, looks like a 24-hour lockdown. You know, that's a great point, Kurt. Not only are they confined to quarters, the windows are sealed shut, and they can't even order in their own food via such services as Uber Eats or DoorDash. And again, the question arises, why? And Hardcore Studios, Voice in the Well, writes, I love that chick sweater. My freedom does not stop when your fear begins. Go hide in a hole, scaredy cats, LOL. That's my stock answer to all COVID nonsense. Yeah, Hardcore, I love that statement too. That chick, by the way, is Stephanie, and she's an absolute delight doing her best to inform the Radisson inmates about their rights. Alas, the way things are going in John Tory's Hogtown these days, I wouldn't be surprised to see Stephanie hauled away in her paddy wagon in the near future, simply for speaking the truth. Because that's how we roll in Canada when it comes to those espousing contrarian opinions regarding the Wuhan virus. Hey folks, that was an excerpt from my show, Rebel Roundup. Now, to get the full meal deal, why not go to Rebel News Plus, sign up, and never miss a Rebel News Plus show in the future.